So, Michael, over the last couple of months and years in the crypto space, it's always been difficult for banks to enter the crypto space. Do you believe this is starting to change, with all the regulatory changes going on and the industry evolving?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's happening not only in the UAE, the whole GCC region, and also in the Western world as well. So since the U.S. Trump administration, and you can see many banks start opening up. And we need to understand as well that what's the dynamic behind that, because in the very beginning of the crypto world, it's talk about only crypto tradings, and right now we're talking about many use cases of the crypto, including stablecoins.
So actually, on that particular point, I mean, how do you see the future of banking for a bank like Zand, for example? Especially you mentioned stable coins. Do you believe stable coins will be used more widely, especially with what we're seeing in the U.S. now with the Genius Act? Do you believe this will really become a global phenomenon of the usage of stable coins in banks?
Well, absolutely. I believe actually stablecoin has many use cases. I mean, that's including, from the supply chain financing, cross-border pay fight, and also talking about the remittance business as well, right? So this use case actually has to be, have an infrastructure to be ready. Now, banking actually is no longer actually doing the thing alone. They try to leverage also the fintech and also the crypto blockchain, to make it happen.
But to what extent, Michael, when we look at banking in general, right? So historically, we always had an issue with banks and correspondent banks, for example, in the U.S., where a lot of the U.S. banks didn't want to deal with any bank globally that was dealing with crypto. Do you believe some of these changes going on with the Genius Act in the U.S. and others, other pieces of legislation and the change of administration will change the risk appetite of correspondent banks to deal with banks globally that they're touching crypto?
Absolutely. I think there are a few things I was saying is happens. So number one, actually, the adoption for the banks in the U.S. itself, because of the regulation changes, and then more banks actually adopt on this, and for institution use and not only for the retail. Second thing is that I think because of the popularity of the stablecoins, we need to understand that in the crypto trading world, usually the liquidity is come from, for example, like the Bitcoin cross again, the USDT, USDC. Now, because of the adoption actually for the different markets, when you have the local currency stablecoin cross again actually on this, it can be the liquid pair. So I think that will game changes.
But to what extent do you believe the U.S. banks could also get involved in the stablecoin ecosystem? For example, now, any bank that is trading with crypto, let's say, or globally, has a benefit because a lot of these U.S. banks are not involved in it. When it comes to, let's say, the U.S. dollar stablecoin and becomes regulated, do you believe the U.S. banks will play a bigger role in this space as well?
I think majority right now, the participant in the crypto is quite spread around the different regions. U.S. is one of those, actually one of the largest, but China as well, and also the Asia, right? Yeah. Especially on the South Korea and also the Japan. The dominant currency for the local currency always the local currencies. Today, I think the debtor, they're doing very well, job 140 billions, but also bring the risk to the U.S. Treasury system. Yeah. But that's reflect actually the needs from the government to buy more from the foreigners in terms of the local treasury. So I guess actually the appetite for the bank will change because of the appetite from the government chain as well.
Yeah, so this brings up the whole topic of actually real-world assets and yield-bearing assets. To what extent do you believe we will see the usage of real yield-bearing assets within the banking ecosystem when it comes to like RWA products?
I think in the region, we talk about a few asset classes, which is quite common to tokenize. So first one is the properties. The second one is the gold. The third one I think is coming is the debt markets. In terms of debt market, it's quite easy to share the yield. Money market fund is quite easy to share the yield. But I think quite interesting can be like the gold, for example, right? So let's say you park the gold in the custodian, actually it will not generate any interest. But if you tokenize the gold, can be a collateral pledged by someone else as a instruments that share the yield.
Yeah, but that really unlocks a whole billions of dollars of actually collateral that can be used and put to use. Talk about the crypto and yield. I mean, obviously, Zand Bank recently got its VARA license here in Dubai. Can you share with us, like, what is the vision of Zand when it comes, especially with regards to this VARA license that you guys have received?
Zand actually is not really a digital retail bank. Zand actually focuses on the corporate, fintech, and digital assets. On the digital asset space, actually, we have a quite strong belief that, some bank actually has to stand up and then to bridge between the TradeFi and the DeFi. I think so far, actually, we have a good blessing from the VARA, and because of the visionary leaders, I mean, they set the ground that, the UAE has to be actually one of the leading crypto hub. On the other hand, one of the leading on the innovations. To push it forward to the digital economy, and then you need the bank to be the one enable this kind of bridge between the TradeFi and also the crypto. So we are the one, actually, we are the first one, probably, and then we are right now is a leading one as well. So I think this will enable a lot of global players, regional players come to UAE. So
do you think the other banks will follow as well, getting their VAR licenses and crypto licenses?
Well, absolutely, but I think that linked to the pain point as well. That the first thing we have to solve is a U.S. dollar clearing, right? Today, actually, liquidity mainly cross against the U.S. dollars, but on the day, actually, adoption is more cross against the local currencies, which is the local stablecoins, that we actually, game changing against, to the local markets.
When on that point, when we talk a lot in the crypto industry, many believe that pretty much all the banks in the UAE will launch stablecoins. Do you believe that's something that we may see, like with the banks locally launching stablecoins over the next 1 or 2 years?
I guess actually that would be replay again, actually back to many years ago in the US. If you remember, there are a few hundred stablecoins, right? Yeah. So at the end game actually is that, what are the use case you're having, right? Yeah. And then what are the risk appetite for the bank? And then what exactly actually you want to achieve, right? JP Morgan, for example, doing very good job like Canadis, because they have the buy side, sell side, the whole ecosystem end to end. I think they are kind of success. I think most of the bank actually may not necessarily go to the public change. They may go for a closed loop, and then in order to capture actual trade finance. But again, it's very linked to the risk appetite. I mean, if your risk appetite is high and then you have risk control goods, and then you can enter the crypto space.
Yeah, especially in trade finance, there's so much need for using blockchain. I mean, the paperwork on there is quite crazy. Talking about optimization, actually, what's your view on the usage of AI in banks? How does Zand look at the developments in AI from either cost optimization or other use cases within the bank?
Yeah, so we start actually the AI journey back to almost like 1.5 years ago. Right now we have already the AI team, and then we try to cross again the AI with a different use case like blockchain, for example. One of the use cases we're using is that we're using AI to do transaction monitoring. That's helped a lot, right? And then we probably will have some payment solution launched very soon in the market, and the fraud detection will very heavily rely on the AI as well.
Yeah. That's a good area where we need AI to play a role. Maybe last question, Mick, to you is really from a CEO of a bank, right? There's obviously tons of risk in the crypto ecosystem and in banking. What is on a personal level the one risk that keeps you up at night that you're really focused on, that you think we should keep an eye on?
No downtime.
That's a 24/7 market of crypto, huh?
Absolutely.
That's why it doesn't work well. Good. Thank you very much, Michael Chan, for being with us. That was Michael Chan, the CEO of Zand Bank, talking about how actually the traditional banks like Zand are coming into the world of crypto. Thank you very much, Michael, for being with us today.
Thank you, Henry. Thanks.
Are your children prepared for the future of money? Order Decoding Crypto with Henry and Hodler, the #1 new release kids book on Amazon.